Welcome to let me do it again. Welcome to Objections with Stan Willis. Actually, leave that in because it was so terrible. I'm Michael Morris. I messed up the beginning of the show, but I'm here with another messed up guy, Stan Willis. Stan, how are you?
I'm just happy to be here.
Did you hear that terrible intro? I mean, you were here. I don't know if you were awake while I was doing it, but it was bad.
Was that you?
Yeah. Listen, the good news is that's the best that this show's going to be all day. Straight downhill after that.
I really thought a bird hit the window.
Yeah. This show is going to be the pets.com of 2007. Just rocket to the bottom. I have a question for you because I was asked this by a few people that are not social media savvy and all that.
Oh, I am Mr. Social Media Savvy.
Well, you're Mr. In the Know. If I need to know something, you're going to tell me whether it's right or wrong.
I have a Faceagram.
Yeah, I've never seen you post anything, but I have seen you like things. So I do know you have the Facebook TikTok. So
Wait, what's TikTok? I thought that's what a clock did.
TikTok is where everybody's dancing. I didn't know that many people could dance in this world, but they're always dancing. Or
are they actually dancing, or did they just think?
I could show you, but if I do, I'll knock the microphone over because they're grinding and all this other stuff. When we take the microphones down, I'll show you. And I got to grit my teeth while I do.
Dancing people just don't interest me that much.
No, I get it. This one does. So I had to explain to a couple family members what Let's Go Brandon was about. Would you like to describe what Let's Go Brandon is?
Well, Let's Go Brandon is what they were cheering at a NASCAR event, apparently. Although it really, do you know that there's a song, Let's Go Brandon song that was like trending #1 on something.
Who were we with that showed us? It was Kendra yesterday showed us there's the top 5 songs that are trending are all about this one subject.
About Let's Go Brandon?
Yeah.
So that's new information for me because last that I looked, there was one song and I can't really I'm not going to quote it but anyway, so Let's Go Brandon. Yeah, so that's what a reporter said that people were cheering at the NASCAR race, although it really didn't sound like that's what they were saying.
Can I say what they said? Let's go Brandon. That's not what they said. People in this country apparently are unhappy. I'm not going to mention the name, 81 million votes. They are unhappy with this gentleman because he's not doing well. Can we say that?
That's fair. And they're chanting words that are not very nice.
Yes. Now, that's a word that my daughter said the other day when she forgot her algebra book, but I'm not going to say that part either. But it was the F word. Maybe not the one you're thinking of.
Fart?
That's why I meant not that one. Nate, can we get one of those boards like Wheel of Fortune and we'll just leave the vowel out?
Freedom?
Yeah,
okay.
That's not 4 words, is it? So my question being is that people really seem unhappy about everything that's going on.
It is, but you know, the amazing thing to me, having seen that clip, is that we have a media, for the most part, that really think that we as people are so stupid that we can witness something happening, hear it with our own ears, see it with our own eyes, smell it with our own nose, and then just be told, no, that's not what that was.
That's not what you heard.
That's not what that was. I don't care what you think you hear on the video. That's not what they're saying. It's
trending on Twitter. No, not in the trending part. It like we were talking about 5 of the trending songs that are on Spotify and that have to do with this topic.
Right. But the shocking thing to me isn't this isolated incident. It's the overall. I mean, this young lady's kind of attempt at covering this is not abnormal. It's not abnormal. It's the media is constantly just kind of saying, no, that's not what's going on.
Right.
No, that's not what's going on.
Or you just don't understand.
At what point did the media just completely become purveyors of fantasy? At what point did that happen?
Well, so let me ask you this question. So that was shown that Facebook contributed $419 or $420 million into the election. We've talked about how the media is suppressing one side versus the other.
Right.
So the other day, Donald Trump announces his new media platform, which I think is called Truth Media. Truth. I'm going to start my own. If he doesn't use that, so it'll be Truth Media, whatever. He's going to have his own kind of like Facebook, Instagram platform, whatever. What do you think of that? Because he is being censored everywhere else, and yet, as we always talk about, everyone's constantly talking about him. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News to some extent. He's getting news coverage all the time, but he's not being heard.
Right.
He's like the Julian Assange of presidents.
Well, maybe more like the Groucho Marx of presidents.
You don't like cigars? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't join a club that would have me as a member.
Don't. Well played. I just think that what I was asking Nate before we started is because I don't really understand. I understand that you have an app on your phone, but there's still got to be a way to throttle or censor the way that we're looking at, because, you know, when we were talking about kids losing their laptops over and over again, that was suppressed on Twitter. It was, you couldn't post about it or react to it on Facebook. By the way, I got another 24-hour ban.
Did you?
From Facebook.
Nice.
For something I did in March of like 2020.
Nice.
I wasn't even sure that I did it, but just so you know, Zucks, I did not do that, I don't think. But if we're going to keep censoring all these things,
I don't think I did that, he said.
I'm not 100% sure of anything, but
not guilty.
Again, as an attorney, I would get myself out of that. But I think it's unfair to censor anybody. I'm not saying you should put hate group stuff out there, but hate groups aren't getting canceled. You just have one individual. Literally, there's one person that can't put. Oh, maybe it's Alex Jones is the other one.
Alex Jones.
But I still think he has like a Facebook account.
Yeah, you know, the thing, you know, it's great that Trump has lots of money and he can do this kind of stuff. That's great for him. Good for him. I'm not convinced that that's going to be a better master. In other words, you know, we're all beholden to the people who are the providers. I mean, you and I, the average guy,
Right.
the average Nate on the street, we're all beholden to the.
Are you talking about the people that are like the Spectrum, or the people that have like the wireless providers?
No, I'm just talking about average person.
Oh, you mean the man,
yeah.
capital T, capital M.
You and me, Kendra from your other show, all those people, just regular guys and girls.
Yeah.
People.
Wait, what did she say she was?
People who are
yesterday. What was the term that she
gender.
used? Very Christian-y. She doesn't listen to certain music. I can't remember.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Plug out to Kendra, whom I've never met.
You don't want to.
Okay. So anyway, average person on the street, we're beholden to the providers, right? Whoever the provider is, whether it's Zuckerberg or Trump or I don't know.
What's the guy's name from Twitter? He has a weird name. Serge?
No, wait. That's
Steven Jackson of the Indiana Pacers?
Jack Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey. I almost said Jack Sigma. He was awesome for the Milwaukee Bucks in the 80s.
No matter who it is, they're if they are going to stop certain forms of speech, if they're going to do that, if they're going to go down the censorship road at some level, then we're beholden to their biases when they start doing that.
Right.
No matter who it is. So the question I think that comes in, regardless of who is you know, should they be engaging in any kind of censorship conduct at all? I mean, that's the question. You know, and you know, we've long time had this obscenity exception where you can filter out obscenities.
You goddamn right we do.
You have, and you have Justice Stevens' famous comment, which is, "I don't know what obscenity is, but I know it when I see it."
Right. Wasn't that what they said about porn?
Well,
I don't know what porn is, but I mean it's the same thing. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what it is, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah, when I see a lot of Jello, I know what's been going on. I'll show it to you. I'll forward it to your email, your work email. Well, I want to make sure you open it here because you got those big screens in there.
Speaking of censorship. So anyway, when it comes down to this, the question becomes: should anybody be engaging in this conduct at all? Because Trump's going to go out and he's going to build this platform, but that platform is going to have algorithms that take certain speech out. It's going to.
Well, let's add to that. Does that mean that Rachel Maddow can put her softball scores on there? Will she get an account? Will other people, will they treat it like it's, because you can't exclude anybody, right? You're saying that, I think it's called the Truth Media or whatever. That means anybody's welcome. So you shouldn't censor anything, correct?
Well, if you're going to have a truly free environment where people are truly able to speak their minds, then yeah. That's what it's got to be. But you see things like Facebook. Facebook, they wanted it to be a nice place, right? So they started censoring things that weren't nice.
Right.
Well, who decides what's nice? I mean, as soon as you start deciding things that are subjective, you're censoring.
Right.
I mean, it's just the way it is.
Well, let me tell you, as a person that's been banned multiple times for some reason, especially this year, for 24 hours or a week or whatever. You used to be able to say, they would say, do you agree with the decision? Here's what you posted. Do you agree with the decision? Do you not? If you don't, you could write in a text field and send it. They've eliminated all of that. Here's what you did. Do you agree with the decision or not? So they've taken the option of explaining what it was. So even if it was a news article, as I said, the first time I got banned was I posted a happy birthday thing because the New York Post it was Barbara Streisand's 70th birthday or whatever, and I changed the headline and put it on a picture of Fabio. Boom, somebody complained, banned. This was Facebook decided what I posted, and I'm not saying I posted, was hate speech. Right. Based on what? And I also got banned for 5 days for joking around with somebody in the comments directly to them. Who's to determine? That is a friend of mine. You don't even know that, and we're just joking around with each other. But it said I was threatening him. What I said was, if you talk bad about the honky tonk man again, I'll kick your ass. That's what I said. And I got banned for a week for that. But it was during all the Summer of Love protests, the Black Lives Matter and all that other stuff. But again, I can understand that if you're seeing that, but then I'll look in other pages and there are people literally arguing with each other back and forth. And that's fine. So I feel like it's selective enforcement.
Probably is, but it's nice that you stood up for Dwight Yoakam.
Okay, first of all, the longest reigning intercontinental champion in the WWF, and you're going to belittle him with Dwight Yoakam?
It was a song by Dwight Yoakam. Honky Tonk.
It was only famous because of Honky Tonk Man. Okay, real life cousin of Jerry Lawler, Jerry the King Lawler.
Do you think the Honky Tonk Man needs you to defend his honor?
No, I just want to remind people, because there are people that are watching this show for legal advice and they're like, who was the longest reigning intercontinental champion? I got to tell them that. They're coming here for knowledge, Stan.
I'm sure people were just sitting at home thinking, if I could find a podcast that could answer the burning question of who is the Honky Tonk Man.
Do you know what I am? I'm a fountain. And I'm pouring out knowledge to people that are watching this. I know Nate is over there laughing about this. I am trying to educate them, and then I'm trying to get out of
I think pouring, spewing might be a good word.
I am that hose in the yard that has a splinter in it. I'm just saying,
geyser,
they are looking for you to back up everything that I'm saying. That's why people watch this show. That's why they listen to it. That's why this changes lives.
You are the king, man.
We got Britney Spears free. We could get other people. Could we get Julian Assange free?
Let's try. Free Julian Assange.
Somebody get a phone number for that jail. How is he not free, by the way?
Well, if you just hold him and don't charge him.
I don't understand how isn't I'm trying to think there's a bunch of groups that are trying to get him out of there. But where are they going? If they bring him here, that fella's not going to make it. Where can he go? He'll always be under surveillance.
Isn't he under arrest right now?
He is, but they're trying to figure
Ecuador or something.
Yes.
Is it Ecuador?
It is. Very good. But he's being kept he's in terrible shape and terrible conditions, all because he reported on the tail end of the Bush thing and then into Obama.
Right?
Well, that's part of it. That's why the Democratic Party wants him. The Republican Party wanted him because he reported on the drone bombings that we said, oh, we weren't taking out civilians, and he provided footage.
Shouldn't they be after Glenn Greenwald too?
They are. Actually, he was arrested in Portugal because he went to go see Assange, and he was arrested along with his husband. I believe it's his husband.
Yeah.
But he was detained.
Glenn Greenwald's the man.
That guy,
he's the man.
Here's what I find funny. He was the darling of all the MSNBC, CNN. They loved his reporting.
Well, during the Bush administration.
Right. And as soon as he was, again, his job is to report everything.
It's the same thing that happened to Dave Chappelle. We just talked about that in a previous show.
But I just find it odd that you can pick and choose what you think is important or who these people are important. When you lift them up, it's almost like you're done with them, so you cut them off at the knees, right?
Well, I mean, because the fact is that for most people aren't making decisions about these things based upon a moral structure. It's a narrative structure. It's not necessarily even a narrative structure. It's a subjective thing. So it's about what's best for me and what I think right now. That's how I'm making my political decisions. That's how I'm deciding what should or shouldn't be, is because of how I think right now and what's good for me. And so there's no moral element. There's nothing that's driving something, so that I mean, everything's relative. Nothing can be absolute. So you won't ever have someone who will say it's absolutely wrong to infringe freedom of speech. What they will say is, well, freedom of speech is a great thing if I need it.
Right.
But once I'm in power and I got all the speech I want, I've got all the freedom of speech that I want, you don't need it. That's a bad thing now. So it's not.
You can't be trusted with it, but I'll tell you what you need.
So what happens is these things that we value, which we assign morality to. I mean, for my entire lifetime, America's a free country. That's been the moral stake in the ground. And now all of a sudden, well, not really.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it was then, but today, don't worry about it.
And that's because these things that we value don't have absolute status; they have relative status. And so I get to decide. What is okay and moral for everybody,
right?
Not just for me, for everybody. So I get to say, I get freedom of speech because my opinions are pretty important. You don't have freedom of speech because you disagree with something that I think or might think in the future. So you don't get to have freedom of speech. And this is the fundamental problem. This is why Glenn Greenwald is all of a sudden a pariah. This is the reason why people on the left suddenly hate Dave Chappelle and people on the right suddenly love Dave Chappelle. People on the right suddenly, I mean, Glenn Greenwald is on Tucker Carlson all the time,
which I think is crazy,
right? Because like they hated each other,
right?
They were diametrically.
I'm not 100% sure they don't hate each other now. It just happens to be there because of what Glenn Greenwald is reporting. Again, it fits into this. I think actually, if you listen to Tucker, he's actually publicly said I was wrong. I should not have. Right.
I should not have disagreed with you in the way that I did.
And again, I understand. I don't know. It goes into networks, network anchors backing up networks, right? Because your job is to protect that fortune you're making. But let's take this piece of it where I don't know if you saw that Sanjay Gupta was on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And he was there for 3 hours. And he had to do a mea culpa to CNN viewers, to people on Twitter, because Rogan called. He didn't attack him. He didn't even attack the network. He just, in a very conversational way, like we're doing now, said they reported this wrong, and they reported it with glee that I got COVID and all this other stuff. And Sanjay Gupta said, no, they didn't. He said, pull up the clip, and he shows the clip, and they keep doing it over and over again, and they're all, there he goes, that asshole. And sorry, I meant hole. And they make this big deal. And Sanjay Gupta says, you're right. They shouldn't have done that. That wasn't appropriate.
Right.
And he was talking about that the media is lying. And Sanjay Gupta does not, he's trying to change the subject a little bit, but he's not really pulling out real hard. And Joe forces him to engage, right? So it seems like a reasonable conversation. Then Don Lemon decides to take his baking gloves off, and the next night is very sternly getting Sanjay Gupta to apologize for what he said. Well, Sanjay Gupta gets paid by CNN.
Right.
So what's he do? He tries to paint it that he was intimidated by Joe. You ever sit with somebody and have a conversation for 3 hours and you're intimidated?
Yeah.
So again, I work in the media, and I can tell you it's the C+ student's perfect job. Right. Read that off that prompter, and we'll pay you based on ratings. Don't lose ratings.
Well, see, the thing was, I watched the Rogan interview with Sanjay Gupta. I actually thought that Gupta was a pretty intelligent guy. Seemed like he was fairly straightforward and honest and all that. I was really disappointed with what happened on CNN the next.
I don't have a problem with Gupta. I have a problem with when you.
I was disappointed with, maybe not with exactly what Gupta did, but I was disappointed with how CNN handled that.
Right.
I just really I thought that. If you put side by side what Rogan did and what
Don Lemon did, and I think if you watch it objectionably, Rogan was measured. He was straightforward. He was kind. He had actual facts, and I think he was engaging. Don Lemon, on the other hand, was angry and overbearing and accusatory and didn't really have any facts. And so I think if you watch those two things side by side, I think you start to see why CNN's ratings are dropping. And I mean, I don't think that, I think Rogan actually has higher ratings than CNN. Rogan's the most listened to. I don't know about view, but listened to. There's nobody bigger. I mean, he destroys what Stern does.
And here's the thing: Rogan's not a conservative guy.
No,
I would. I watch Rogan. There are a lot of times where he'll be talking about something, and I agree with him. Sometimes I don't agree with him. But here's the thing: he's fair in his approach to things. And he's not totalitarian, and he's not trying to stop people from disagreeing with him. I mean, he's really just kind of trying to have a conversation, trying to get people to engage in what's going on. And the difference between that and the kind of, I'm just going to shout you down until you submit to what I'm doing, that it's a completely different approach, but it's reflective of what's going on in our world.
But Joe Rogan literally could beat the living hell out of almost anybody on this planet if he wanted to. And he's not doing that. He's trying to have a civil discourse with somebody. It's odd because that's what I think people that don't know Joe Rogan think is what's happening. And then you watch the news media spin of it. They are, if the guest is going to say what they agree with, they're fine with it. If the guest is going to say something, they're attacking them. And that guest knows they have between 5 and 8 minutes.
Right.
They are being attacked for 4 of it, not consecutively, but it's like, I got to get in when I got to get in. Why would you even agree? And that's the thing with Gupta.
Well, that's the thing. And I watch, I mean, I can't stand I can't stand to watch any news shows, even Fox News shows anymore, because it drives me. I mean, who invented the interview process where you ask somebody a question, they start to talk, and you immediately interrupt them with your opinion and tell them how they're wrong? Since when is that an interview? And since when is that a reporter?
Well, it became a talk show, not an interview.
Well, right. So now I'm no longer an interviewer. I'm a pundit, and I am stating my thing, and you're just my straw person,
right?
Who's here to make me look good. because I'm going to beat you up, and then they're going to cut you off so you can't respond.
And if you lose control, you look like an animal because this person stays on the set, and it's like, oh, we walked him out and threw him out in the trash.
Right. So
which we should be doing on this show.
I don't know who invented that. Bill O'Reilly used to do it, and Sean Hannity's horrible about this. I mean, who invented this? Who invented this? When did this become the way that reporters engage things? I mean, I remember when I was a kid, reporters would actually like ask a question,
right?
And sometimes they would ask a question that wasn't geared at making them look smart.
I miss when people didn't know the answer. Now everybody knows the answer except the expert that you're talking to.
And it even happens in sports. I mean, you try to watch the coaches' conference at the end of the game, and every reporter is just trying to get their analysis of the game in there and have the coach verify it, right? I mean, that's what they're doing. So, coach, didn't you think that on that third play in the seventh overtime there that when you went right and the left tackle kind of collapsed down on the run there that maybe you should have recognized that it was the wrong defense and should have called a different play? Coach just thinking, what play?
Yeah, I make $5 million and I've got a mistress and a wife waiting on me.
But when did that become reporting? I mean,
I'm actually going to look it up because there has to be a part where somebody, maybe it was Geraldo started this, I don't know, or Donahue or Sally Jesse Raphael, but that became a trend because I think it got ratings. But Stan, hold that for the next show because we got to go.
We got to go.
But hey, good game.
Our time's over?
Yeah.
All right.
The music's over. Turn out the lights. Jim Morrison, 1968.
Peace out.
You've been listening to Objections with Stan Willis. We'll see you next week.